And thank you everyone for coming out. It's the client acquisition course. I think there's a huge problem for, and I can see it all over the internet, all over YouTube and everything for creators, people who create things, being in touch with people who hire creators. We used to have a sort of a top-down model, and it was easy to follow. When I first started being a photographer, the path was you learned how to use a camera, then you went out and started taking pictures, and then once you had pictures that were usually not very good, you went to work as an assistant for a photographer and you learned all the tools of that. That's where I learned the darkroom. It's where I learned to process film. It's where I learned composition, how to bid a job, how to deal with a client, all of those things. They don't teach you that anywhere anymore. Well, in fact, unfortunately, that little path isn't really available for folks anymore. There's just not a lot of photographers with full-time assistants. My studio, I had a full-time assistant that only did darkroom. He came in to work and went in the darkroom and wouldn't come out to the end of the day, and that was his job. Came out for lunch, came out for a break, but that was his job, to be in the darkroom. We don't have that anymore. All that's gone. So a lot of things changed. But in the client acquisition world, what's changed is before there were really only about 4 types of clients that you would work for. We're going to go into the 5 and 6 as well, but 4 big clients: ad agencies, design agencies, newspapers, and shooting stills for television. We can put magazines in there, and we can put PR in there, and we can put marketing and communications. But in those days before, well, back in the 90s, PR was handled by ad agencies. Marketing and communications for corporations, most of them use graphic design firms. It was in the 2000s when they started bringing them in-house, and a lot of things changed. So what we would do as photographers is it was kind of easy. You'd go to the phone book or whatever, and you'd start looking at those ad agencies. And I use the word phone book. I'm sorry to confuse any of you who are under 30, if any of you are under 30, but it was a big book that came out with alphabetical listings of businesses. And we would find those people and we'd call them on a phone. Once again, sorry. On the phone, we would call them up and we'd go and show them our portfolio. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything, but we only had a very delimited group of people to show our work to. So we'd put together 30 or 40 images in a box, in a folder, whatever, take them out and show them. Okay, that was before 2010. From 2000 to 2020, something changed. Well, we ended up with social media, which became very big in the late 2000s, but became super powerful in the teens. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Flickr, all those things really, while they started in the previous decade, they really came to fruition in 2009, 2010. And so more and more work was being done for the web and on the web. Online commerce became a big deal. Amazon, eBay, Walmart.com, Target.com, and more of the work that we did for ad agencies was being pushed and farmed out to the web. Ad agencies began to falter and became more and more focused on the highest dollar tickets. Ad agencies would hire designers. Designers would work with ad agencies and PR firms, and so many things exploded. That's the decade where we really started seeing so many more entrepreneurs, small business people. The web opened up the opportunity to do e-commerce for small and beginning companies. And back in the 2010s, I was doing workshops all over the country, and actually some in the decade before as well. And the workshops would bring us a real glimpse into how small businesses were working. A lot of the photographers that I worked with in the workshops would work for small business or work for small designers, etc. So as everything started blending and as everything became more and more, oh, what's the word, less centralized, it became a scramble.
Mhm.
When I would shoot for a client in 1995, I would probably be shooting, well, yeah, I was still shooting film in 1995. I would shoot the film, I would deliver the film, probably transparencies, to the client, and I was done. I would then go out and start making phone calls to see another, if I could see another client. Well, as we all know today, you shoot the photographs and you go home and you export them to your computer, and then you sit there and you retouch them and retouch them again, and on it goes. And we don't know how to get rid of or how to get in touch with the clients anymore. Everything is so hands-on for us. We've forgotten how to get in touch with the clients. But it's gotten even worse now because since 2020, something happened back in 2020 and it screwed up a lot of stuff. Some things will never go back to normal. Never. It devastated what I call the centralization of clients. You knew when you became a photographer who you were going to work for. Ad agencies, magazines, PR firms, graphic designers, marketing and communications. Pretty straightforward. Now, it's hard to get an art director on the phone. It's hard to find an ad agency out here, an ad agency where everybody goes to work at one place at the same time. A lot of art directors work from home. Account execs work from home. And it's harder and harder to find those people. And when you do find those people, you find that they are what I would call the low-hanging fruit. Everybody's after them. Everyone is after them. We have to be smarter, more agile, and more, I guess, in tune to other clients. Now, if you're in business and you're pulling in 150, 160,000 a year, you probably know how to find your clients. If you've been doing that much a year for 5 years, then probably we need to figure out why you plateaued instead of continuing to rise. So if you're out there and you're making calls, if you get somebody to answer the phone, that's a win. So if there's any class I would tell you to take, it would be how to leave a really good phone message. Because we have to leave phone messages all the time. Social media is mainstream. Grandmas are on TikTok. And the need for photography has never been greater than it is today. I think there's a misnomer out there that photography is dying. In reverse, photography is huge now. Probably more photographs being used commercially now than has ever been used.
Yeah.
So you constantly we're constantly seeing new places for photography. More photographs were made last year for business than were made in the 2010 for business. I mean, I'm sorry, more business shots for business were made last year than were made the entire decade of the 2000s. Just to give you an idea. And of course, that just floods the market now. We've got so many pictures, Instagram and all of those places, just billions of pictures. That has become a little bit tricky to stand out from that group or from the group. A little bit challenging. The web is huge, 60%. A lot of photographers that I've interviewed, over 66%, 60% of their business is shot for the web. Some photographers as high as 80% for the web. Those are the guys with the 40 megapixel cameras. I'm just kidding. You know, if you're just shooting for the web, all you need is about 10 megapixels. Wouldn't that be nice if they made a nice 12 megapixel awesome camera? You just shoot for the web. Anyway. So the question is, where are the clients? Where are they? Where are all these people who are working? If you follow photo editor, and I suggest all of you follow a photo editor, he's been doing a recent thing on, if you're a photographer, how much money do you make? And people are answering him, and he's putting this up on Instagram. A whole lot of people had really good years last year, folks. Many of the photographers that I know here had really good years last year. My friend Steve, who some of you know from Project 52, the architecture shooter, last year was his best year ever in business, ever, by about 25%. That's shocking, isn't it? And we spend any time at all on social media, all we hear is like, oh, nobody's paying for photographs. There's no jobs out there. There's no work out there. It's just miserable. And I'll tell you what, it's right. If that's their perception of it, it's right for them. They are telling the truth for them. But they're not telling the truth for the global market. There are more photographers working out there today than have ever been working. I will say that at one point back in the, I would say the heyday of commercial photography between 1970 and 1990, that 20-year span there, I knew many photographers who were millionaires, made millions of dollars. Rodney Smith, a fashion photographer, has a beautiful home. He's passed on, but his family, a beautiful home in very upscale New York, big land and everything from shooting fashion photography. Peter Lindbergh, Jay Mizell, lots of big money. Today, there's still photographers who make big money, but what I'm excited to see is how many photographers are in that $300,000 to $500,000 range, which, you know, it's not $1 million, but it's a darn nice year salary for making photographs. They've been able to expand the way they make photographs and the clients that they make them for. I call them channels. They've expanded their channels and found out that there are many, many places to get jobs. Sometimes the jobs come in for doing a book or a cookbook, or I just talked to a photographer who is getting ready to do a job with a company that does horses. They're a horse breeder. And this is a nice job. This is about 15 grand for this photo shoot for some horse breeders. No ad agency, no graphic design firm. The photographer is being asked to do the website and the photography. The photography is about 15 grand. Add the website in, it's about a $21,000 job. And it's only going to take him 3 days photography and 3 days of building the web. So there's great possibilities out there. I constantly talk to my Project 52 people about the fact, and this, I believe it's a fact, the fact that photographers are going to start to have to do more than just photography. You're going to have to do more. And there's ways to do it without panicking. So what about the money? The myth is that there's no money, that it's all dried up. Go on Facebook and look at the whiners. Oh, nobody wants to pay anymore. Really? You're dealing with the wrong clients, because some clients don't hesitate to pay what the value is of it. Yes, we always hear about the job that someone did and they got stiffed or whatever. The reason we hear about it is rare. It's the old saying, if dog bites man, nobody cares. Man bites dog, we all know about it, right? It's the oddity. And that's what everyone talks about is the oddity. There's photographers here in Phoenix who are working literally 5 days a week. I have a photographer that lives down on a ranch south of Tucson, 2 hours south of Tucson. And believe me, there's nothing around Stephanie. There's no big cities. There's no ad agencies. There's no anything. And she's working just about as much as she wants to. She doesn't want to shoot every day, but she has plenty of work and she's very, very happy doing what she does. In a town, her town actually has a population of 100. So when someone says, oh, I live in a small town, I can't do it. Oh, yeah, you can, because she's doing it. If one person can do it, someone else can do it. She's not a unicorn. Unicorns don't exist. There's ways to get it done, and she has done it well. What people are saying when they say, well, there's no money out there, they're saying there's no money out there for the work that I'm doing and the people that I'm talking to. In wedding photography, I don't do wedding photography, but when I would talk to wedding photographers, first thing I would say is, could you afford your wedding, your highest wedding? And if they said yes, I said, you're too cheap. You should not be able to afford what you do. The guy here in Scottsdale who builds unbelievable custom motorcycles in the $100,000 range, total custom motorcycles. He doesn't ride a custom motorcycle. He's got a very nice Harley, but it's not custom. He can't afford a $100,000 motorcycle. He's making $200,000 a year, but he doesn't want to spend it on a custom motorcycle. He loves building them. So the money is out there. Talking to small business in Scottsdale who this year plans on spending $50,000 on photography. None of it with me, unfortunately, but with the two other photographers. They're going to spend 50 grand on photography. One client in Scottsdale. They're in the air park, and you would drive right by them. They just have a little door with a sign on it. They're not an ad agency. They're not famous. They're not Nike. They're nothing. They're just a little company that makes airplane parts. And they're planning on 50,000 in photography. If you go on Facebook, and that's the worst place to get photo advice. If you excuse me, if you go on Facebook, what you hear so often is that the business has dried up. There's nothing out there. You can't do it. And what they're really saying is the business has dried up for me, and I can't do it. If you talk to old guys, even though I'm an old guy, but if you talk to a photographer who's about 55 to 60, they'll tell you how terrible this business is now, because it used to be. Yes, it did used to be. But you know what? I've been in this business for over 50 years. And when I first started, you know what they told me then? Oh, this business sucks. You don't want to be in this business. There's no work out there. It's really hard. I've done it for 50 years. I'm building a custom home in the desert. I'm not rich, but I'm building a home in the desert. And I'm going to sit on the porch with a shotgun and keep people off my lawn. That just shows you how old I am. If you talk to the old guys, they want it to be like it was. And when you get to be 75, you're going to say, oh, I remember when I started. Yeah, it's nothing like that now. It sucks now because it's not like where it was when we did the thing. Guess what? Today is the good old days of the people who are working today. The people who are 20 to 40 years old out there, these are the good old days for them. When they're 60 and 70 and they're sitting out on the porch, keeping people off their lawn, they'll remember the good old days. That's the shitty days to the old people today. Doesn't change. Never going to be the same. I look at young photographers on YouTube and they're having a blast. They're having the time of their lives. And I'm not hearing from them, oh, how terrible it is. Oh, it's really awful out here. They're like, hey, I got to do this shoot and I got to do that shoot. Then they diversify. They're teaching a class here. They're doing a workshop there. They sell a course. They've got an ebook for sale. They're doing this. They've just, that's the new economy. I talk to photographers. I go, oh, I'm not going to sell a course. Why would I sell a course? I'm a photographer. Yeah. And you could be in 1987. No problem. But if you haven't noticed, it's 2024. Today, you got ebooks, you got courses, you got workshops, you got books, you got YouTube, you got ways to expand what you do. Everyone else is doing it. Just because you're old, you don't want to do it? Come on. Come on. That doesn't make any sense. Remember, and does anyone here know when the iPhone came out? Was it 2008? Anybody?
Don't know.
I want to say it was 2008. I'm going to say 2008. I may be wrong. Do you realize that before 2008, there was no such thing in this country as an app builder? And now there's 700,000 people who build apps. So it's never going to be like it was. It's just going to be different. That's about the money. What's your most important asset? Your most important asset is your portfolio. Too often I see it neglected. I started to work with a one-on-one mentor, and I had to fire them and give their money back. I couldn't do it because they were uninterested in working on their portfolio. Your portfolio is your business. Do you understand that? You have to. Portfolio is the most important thing you have. Not your Instagram account, not that brand new Z9. I mean, I would like to have a Z9. I would like to have a Z9 a lot, very much, but I don't have one. I'll get one someday, maybe. It's not that. It's not anything. It's not your camera. It is your portfolio. And your portfolio is your full-time marketing person out there while you're sleeping, shooting, going to lunch or whatever. It's out there. Doesn't do any good unless you show it to people. Back in the day, I had 3 portfolios. They cost a fortune. One would be in FedEx all the time. It was always, it would be FedEx to a ad agency in Baltimore. It would have a FedEx label in it. They would look at it, put it back in the case, put the FedEx label on it, would go to Atlanta, etc. Then about every 6 weeks, we would send it home to make sure it wasn't damaged. I had one here at my office in my studio, and I had one for local. I would have to messenger it out. Can you imagine what I spent on a FedEx back in 1985? Lots of money. We don't have to do that anymore. We have a website. However, we still have to get people to go to the website and see our work. And if you let your website sit for too long, Google stops seeing it. And it's really hard for Google to come back. Quick SEO tip. Google will check your website out when you build it. It will come back in about, and this is not fact because Google doesn't tell us this stuff. This is just from SEO, people studying it and what they've put out. Comes back in about a month and it checks your site. If your site is changed, Google says, it's changed. I wonder when it's changed. It's maybe was that often? So now it comes back in 2 weeks. If it's changed, Google says, oh, okay, it's okay. So we missed some changes. We'll come back in a week. Then we'll come back in a day. And then we'll come back in an hour. So CNN's website is being refreshed in Google about every 5 seconds because it's just boom, 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 because it's a new site. Things are going up. Google sees the change, posts it. Your site, you put it up, Google comes back in a month and you haven't done anything. Google says, okay, we'll come back next month. Come back next month, you haven't done anything. Google says, well, why bother coming back? I'll wait 2 months and we'll come back. Just like you would if you went down shopping and there was a store and you really wanted to see the store and you walked up the store, oh, it's closed. It says, oh, closed today. You go, okay, well, I'll come back. And then you come back 3 weeks later, you go in and oh, closed today. Are you excited about going again? No, you're not. Why would Google? And so your website just sits to rot. The problem is getting a hold of Google to say, oh, hey, I've changed it, because Google stopped coming to see your site. So if you have a site that you haven't maintained in a long time, you have a little bit of work to do. You have a little bit of work. It's boring, but you can do it and you can get Google coming back. You have to contact them, you have to index your page, etc. The value of what you bring to the mix is how you sell your work. Nobody wants pretty pictures. Nobody cares about your photography. They care about what will your photography do for them. That's it. If you're standing at the Grand Canyon taking photographs of the Grand Canyon and you look over your shoulder, either side, you may notice that there's an additional 900 people standing there taking the same photograph you are. No one cares about your photography. As a commercial photographer, they care about what can your photographs do for me. Therefore, your portfolio has to tell them that. Your marketing materials have to tell them that. Your blog. And I always get someone going, oh, you know what? I don't want to be a blogger. I don't care. You have to. Guess how you change your website up every week so Google keeps coming back? That's right, a blog. You put it up there and you put a photograph up and say, here's a photo I did for such and such restaurant, blah, blah, blah. Had a blast. The art director was this person. The food stylist was this person, blah, blah, blah. Post, you're done. You don't have to like write a 800-word article. No one cares about that either. But if you keep refreshing that every week, you put a new one up, Google's going to come back to your website every week to catch that new article. And Google is very binary. If you have a website that has 4,000 characters on it, and you spot a typo and you go in and fix the typo, do you realize Google sees that as a new page? It's new. It indexes it again. Oh, new page. Google is like, it's either the same as it was or it's changed. There's no percentage of change. There's no brain going, oh, he only changed a word. Nothing. It's the same or changed. SEO is your friend. It is absolutely necessary. If you're ignoring SEO, you're ignoring a just huge, vibrant part of being found. Photographers two photographers I know in New York, or Akil Orgel is one. His entire marketing campaign is SEO, and he spends about $400 a month on it. But it brings him in tens of thousands of dollars of work. So for $400 a month, he's happy to pay it. SEO. The better you look with your brand, the better you appear to your clients, the more professional you appear, the more savvy you appear, the more clients are going to come to you. The more clients are going to want to shoot with you. That sounds like it takes a lot of time, doesn't it? Like, oh, Don, what are you talking about? Dude, who's got time for that? Well, it's not that long. Your website is the thing that you're going to spend the most time on it. But at the same time, you can build a food portfolio in a month. Probably do it in less than that, but in a month. I worked with Judy. I lost her last name. I'll think of it. With her, and she built her food portfolio in 3 weeks. Literally 3 weeks. She shot day and night. She got it done, and she's really, really good and doing great work for big companies. So you've got to have that portfolio and you've got to schedule it in. The best way to do a portfolio is to schedule it just like a job and do it. A good strategy for doing it has to be nimble, flexible, but also specific. So write it down in your calendar. If it's in your calendar, it gets done. If it's not in your calendar, you'll find something else to do. You've got to be flexible because you want to get a job, and a job comes in. You can't say, oh, I can't do a job today. I'm scheduled to do a piece for my portfolio. That is counterproductive. Don't do that. Do the job. You can find another time for the portfolio shot. So what does it take? Well, about 30 minutes a day. Because here's the number. I want you to contact 6 people a day. Now, my project team members are going to go, hey, Don, I thought it was 3 people a day. 3 is the minimum. It's 2024. I want you to reach 6 people a day. What does that mean? Does that mean calling 6 people? No. It means either a postcard, a phone call, a direct mail piece, or did I say email? Yeah, email, direct mail, phone call, or in person. So if you've got your list, you sit there and you email 6 people tomorrow morning, great. Well, does it work? Well, we could ask Tarisha, she's not here. Tarisha let me know last night that she finally decided to do it. So on Tuesday, she sent out 3 emails to 3 cold clients that she never talked to. She sent them out, links to her website, 3 pictures in it, and Wednesday morning, yesterday morning, she got up and it has a request for a bid for a job. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to terrify you, but I will tell you this. If you do it, you will get people wanting to work with you. Because more than anything, it's a numbers game. The biggest thing we have to do is to get people to our website. And the best way to do that is to contact as many people as we can. It's a numbers game. If you're working in a small area, small town, you need to get where, when I say small town, I mean like 15,000 people to 25,000 people. You're probably going to have to do regional, reach out to another small town and another small town. So, maybe 100 square miles. If you're in New York City, you need about 250 names. If you're in that small town, you need about 350 names. Not the first 250 names you come across, the 250 names that you work very hard to get. You build that list and then you start sending stuff out to them. Direct mail is powerful. You don't send direct mail out to 250 people. Well, you could, I guess, 250, 350. It gets a little pricey.
Hi,
Oh,
right.
What you do is to focus on that 350 people, and then as you're marketing to them, you can tell which ones aren't interested. You send them out an email every day for 2 years and they don't get back to you, take them off the list. I tell a story about a photographer that came to me who wanted to work with me because he said, I'm giving up. I'm going to sell my gear. I actually called him when I saw it on Facebook. I said, why are you doing this? He says, well, there's nobody hiring here. I said, where do you live? He said, Las Vegas. I said, you know what? I think people are hiring there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there are some clients hiring in Las Vegas because I know 2 photographers up there, both making over $1 million a year. So somebody's hiring. He says, well, I've shown my book and no one hires me. How many of you showed it to? 20 people. When you give up is when you show it to 400 people 10 times. You show it to 400 people in 6 months, and you do that for 2 years, and no one hires you, I give you total permission to sell your gear and move on. But if you're going to move on after 20 people, you don't understand the business. The business of photography is not photographs. the number one business is sales. You are in a sales business. Every freelancer on this planet, whether it's paint, sculpture, writing, building fences. My neighbor builds as a welder. He welds fences. Do you know what he does when he's not welding fences? He's off looking at property and leaving brochures to get fences done. You got to sell. And that's what we have to do too. You also have a large commitment to getting it done. So if you spent 30 minutes a day, I will guarantee you, if you spent 30 minutes a day, what is it, mid-June, mid-January? By mid-February, you will have at least one, if not three, jobs. Portfolio has to be good. Got to stay with it. You got to present yourself. So, make sure your emails aren't full of spelling errors and stuff. If you do that, you'll have at least one job. I would actually bet you'd get three. When photographers were asked how often they market by Photo District News, I want to say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. It turns out that 90% of the photographers market to less than 100 people a year. 10% of the people, of the photographers, marketed to hundreds of people a month. Have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule?
Yes.
20% of the photographers make 80% of the money. Guess which group was the people that were marketing to hundreds of people a month were in? They weren't in the 80% making no money. If you're marketing 100 people, hundreds of people a month, you're going to make money. It's not woo-woo. It's not Scientology. It's a damn fact. It's real. It's just a numbers game. So how long is it going to take? About 30 minutes a day. And you got weekends off. What do you need to do? You need to know your town inside out. Do you know the other photographers working in your town? If you're in a big city, I see Don over there has got the Golden Gate Bridge behind him, so he probably doesn't know all the photographers in town. That would take a massive database. But if you have, wherever you are, you've got to know some of the photographers in town. You have to know what kind of rates they charge. I know it's hard to find out this information. I do. Anybody see Oppenheimer? They built a bomb they had never built before. It's hard to do too. If you want to do something big, folks, it's hard to do. It's not easy. Social media isn't going to save you. Instagram isn't going to save you. It's just not. You need to create a list of 250 to 350 names. You can get some of those names by finding out what new businesses are opening in your town. And there's places you can find that. Do some research. You can find out who's building. Now, if you saw 2 burger shacks going up, Bob and Brenda's Burgers from the Past and Wendy's, which one are you going to contact? You ain't contacted Wendy's. That's a corporate deal. They got a photographer in another town. But Bob and Brenda? Yeah, I want to talk to Bob and Brenda. Absolutely. Where can you find out where new businesses are starting up? Anybody know? Is anybody here not from the U.S.? In the U.S., you have a thing called the Secretary of State. Joyce, you have
Yeah, Joy.
you have a
Yeah.
similar thing in Singapore. To tell you every new business has to register with the state,
Yes.
and you can get that
we do have that.
information. It's free. They will give it out to you.
Yeah, we do have that as well. Yeah.
Yep. Create a competitive portfolio and a competitive portfolio website. I would add this to you. If everybody's zigging, figure out how to zag. If everybody's showing their website on an iPad, which they were doing back in the early in the mid between 2000 and 2020, I don't even know what do you call it, the 20 teens? What do we call that last decade? The 20 teens? That was a big fad between the 2000s and the 20 teens. Oh, iPads, everybody taking their iPad. Then art directors started going, I'm so damn tired of looking at websites portfolios on an iPad. I don't know what to do. You know what you do then? You take a print portfolio. Yeah, an old-fashioned print portfolio, a book, a thing that they can hold. If everybody's doing digital, do something else. If everybody's sending email thank you notes, send a handwritten thank you note with one of your photographs. Don't do what the crowd tells you to do, because the crowd is usually wrong. So I have this sprint coming up on the 18th. I kept it very affordable, $127, 5 days. For an additional $100, you get 2 more days, 2 weeks later, for a portfolio review and to find out how you're doing. I would love it if you took the class. I think you'll definitely get something out of it. I will take this program that we just did and put it on my Don Giannetti page at the top, so you can rewatch this webinar. That's all the sales I'm doing. I don't want to pressure people into doing this. You either want to or you don't. And I'm not going to send you 50 emails. That's why I didn't even require registration here. I know this works. People who've taken this class know it works. If you're interested, sign up. So now we got times for questions.
Who's first?
Someone's got a radio, and I got to find that radio and kill it.
I have a question. Did you say earlier that when you print a new portfolio, you print only 3 or 4 books?
That was then. That was then.
That
Because that
was
was the
then.
only way we could show it, Ken. That was it. We had 3 analog print portfolios. So yeah, today I would print 1.
1?
Yeah. Because the website's going to do all the heavy lifting. I just need 1 regular website, portfolio.
Oh. Okay.
Other questions? Oh,
I
did-
saw the link and I was going to register, and then when I went over into add the extra class, it added 2, so I had to cancel it, and then I got
yeah,
busy. But
if you do that, let me
because I did it like 3 days
Yeah.
ago.
you did.
Yeah, but I did not complete it because something went wrong. So at that time
You have to make the choice when you buy. There's no way to add it. So when you get here, if you get this one, it doesn't have it. You buy this one and it has it. You can't buy this one and then add it. It's just, I wish I could figure out how to do that with the shopping cart. So, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not showing the
know.
screen. Show the screen here. If you get this one, this is the 127 acquisition class. This is the one with the extra class. You have to buy one or the other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't buy this one and then
Yeah.
add the
I
other
think
one.
I did
One or
this
the
one and I tried
Yeah.
to add it. Something went wrong.
Were those additional
No, I didn't.
the
I didn't
additional
hire Lee to.
classes?
I didn't hire Lee to pull up to ask me a question to pull up the sales page. So, but thank you, Lee. Checks in the mail.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Who else?
The additional classes on that did you say that was a Q&A? Strictly
It's-
Q&A?
2 more 2-hour classes, Q&A, portfolio review, any portfolio help, etc., to get you going. Yes, that's what it is.
Okay. We more or less did that in the class, in the 5 days of the class, right?
No, we didn't do a
No?
portfolio. We did not do portfolio reviews in the class.
Oh. Okay.
We don't have time to do
No.
portfolios. We have 5 days in a row, and folks, it's a 2-hour class. I make at least an hour to hour and 15-minute presentation, and then we go over the presentation with plenty of time for questions. And we usually tend to run a few minutes over. We generally go about 2 hours and 15 minutes because there's so much stuff to talk about. I had a photographer from the last class send me an email. I'm not going to pull it up. Send me an email that says, I've taken workshops for 10 years. He said, I learned more in your workshop than I learned in all the workshops in the past 10 years.
Easy,
believe that.
easy.
Easy.
And those two final classes, they're different. They're not the same class. They are two distinctly different classes. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're 2 weeks later. So it gives you 2
Okay.
weeks to put your mailing ideas together, to figure out your list, to check out how you're going to do your email and everything. And then you come back and we look at all that stuff to get you going.
Okay, that's kind of where I am now. Okay,
That's what I was gonna say. I did it with you in December and I want to do it again. Cause I had stuff go on that I lost my mojo, so I've got to go back, build the portfolio. You know, we discussed it in December.
Mhm.
And I want to do it again because I don't know. It's to me, repetition is good for you. So
Well, I do price it very low, and I do that for a reason. I want to get as many people out there. I'm tired of going on Facebook and looking at all these people telling me how they can't get jobs. And I know they can. You just got to get out there and get it done. So I'm doing that. But I have a person who signed up now. This will be the third time they've gone through this class. They took it
Mhm.
way back when I did it as 5 weeks, one per week. Then they took it the first time I did it as 5 days. And now they just signed up to do it again. So I
yeah.
had a message down here. Oh, there's people talking in the chat. I didn't see it. Let's see. iPhone, also known as the iPhone 20 original phone. The small Apple was in 2007. Okay, so I said 2008. I was pretty close, huh? And then Chris is reasonably good at willing to do the things to acquire clients. I've been part of building several businesses. Good. The thing I'm not proficient is setting up social media. Okay, there's an art and an understanding to social media. I want everybody to understand this. There's a difference between having an Instagram account and being an Instagrammer. Everyone talks about being an Instagram. Oh, you're going to be on Instagram. You got to do 15 posts a day. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's if you want to be an Instagrammer. If you want to be an Instagrammer, it's a full damn time job. If you want to be a YouTuber, anybody know who Peter McKinnon is? Nobody? Nobody knows Peter?
Yeah,
Okay.
really famous Canadian.
Really famous Canadian photographer, and Karen's from Canada. All right, so really famous Canadian photographer. He does like 2 YouTubes a week.
Even he stepped back because he said he can't do it.
He can't do it.
Yeah, he can't, not anymore. He's like, I'm not doing 1 every week or 2 every week. He now posts when he feels like it because he's at that point.
Does anyone here remember Cheers, the TV show Cheers?
oh yeah,
I mean, if you ever watch, you can't forget it. Cheers. That was a half-hour show,
Yes.
and it took 240 people to put that together for a week. And you've got YouTubers out there doing half-hour shows 3 times a week. It's called burnout. It's also called, and I like Peter, nice guy, but he ran out of things to talk about. It's not about photography anymore. It's the Peter McKinnon show.
yeah.
The problem for me is I just don't think he's all that great. I love it when he's talking about photography, but I don't want to watch Peter McKinnon. I don't want to watch Kent. I don't want to watch Aaron. I don't want to watch any of you guys. You know, I don't watch TV. I watch educational things and watch TV. So it becomes very hard. So what you have to do with Instagram and your social media is pick what you want to do, focus on it, and just do it casually. The reason to have an Instagram account is because it's very easy to find you there. You have on your phone, which is where most people go to Instagram, right? That's where you have a ice cube chance in hell of being seen on there. If you want to move the needle on Instagram by like trying to get more Instagram followers, you have to post 8 to 14 times a day. Anybody want to do that? That sounds like a job to me. So just put up 2 or 3 a week so that if Kent is looking for me and says, oh, Don, yeah, at Don Giannetti, yeah, I'll go check Instagram. Oh, there he is. There's a link to his website. Boom. It's just a great way for people to be finding you. But if you want to be an Instagrammer, where you're making money from Instagram, not from clients who find you there, but from Instagram, that's a big job. That's a really big, same with YouTube. I think most photographers here, I bet you not very many of you guys have YouTubes. And yet I would want every one of you to have a YouTube. Every one of you. Just put up pictures, talk about your pictures and put them up there. Why? Because it's the second largest search engine in the world. And you're not there. And you need to be there. You don't have to be on camera. You don't just put up a slideshow of your images. Just
Let me give you an example with YouTube. I have a friend, he's a school teacher. He's been a teacher for like 30 years. He's very much into tarantulas, but on his YouTube station, he's got like 20,000 followers.
Mhm.
It's taken him a while to build that, but he's got people who know him when he goes to the Repticons and things like that.
Yep. Yep. And you can post on YouTube without trying to get followers too. Just post there. Put the tags over there. If someone's looking for a food photographer in Cincinnati, they may find you on YouTube. It's going to be hard to find you on Instagram and the web, of course, if you're not doing SEO, that's pretty tough. But if you're a food photographer in Cincinnati, I'd put foods up, I'd put shots up there, maybe a little slideshow, do that little Ken Burns effect in iMovie, move the camera across the picture kind of thing, and put it up there, a little bit of music behind it, and tag food photographer Cincinnati. People are going to find you tagging food photographer Cincinnati, even in Google, because that's a tag in YouTube. Google will find you. YouTube is super good SEO. We need to find clients. I wrote an article on my Substack saying basically, if you're not willing, nothing can help you. Nothing and no one can help you. If you're not willing to do what you need to do. If you are willing to do what it takes, nothing can stop you. Nothing. If you're willing to say, hey, you know what? I think I will post a YouTube on Saturday. I'm going to listen to Don and I'm going to put 10 shots of mine together and I'm going to make a little slideshow. You can do it in CapCut. That's free. You can actually do a vertical one in CapCut. What's it called? A short in CapCut. Put a little music behind it. Put it on there. Tag it like crazy and post it. What have you lost? An hour, hour and a half of your time? What have you gained? I don't know. Could be big. Could be. That's what I'm saying. If you're willing to do this stuff, everything is right at your feet. If you're not willing, and believe me, that's okay. That's okay. Did you ever talk to ever talk to somebody who said, I want to be a millionaire? I want to be a millionaire. Do you know what you have to do to be a millionaire? Do you know the hours that you have to work to be a millionaire? You don't, if you're working 40 hours a week now at an accountant's firm and you want to be a millionaire, do you understand you can't do that? It won't be 40 hours anymore, and you'll be selling and selling and selling. It's not magic. It's not, people aren't chosen to be millionaires by a meteor falling on them. They work really hard at it. Oh, Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the year. I'd like to be like that. No, you don't. You don't want to do what Elon Musk did. I don't want to do what Elon Musk did. I don't want to work 80 hours a week. So if you're willing, you can get there. But it's okay to not be willing. What's not okay is to complain about where you are, but not changing what you do. So if you're not willing, I'm not willing to do some things that I don't want to do. But guess what? I learned a long time ago, I don't complain about it anymore. I'm not willing to do that. Hollywood keeps calling me. They want me to be a leading man. I can't work in makeup. So you know what I'm talking about, Lee, right? It's
Yes.
the powder burns my skin, so
Yeah.
can't do it. Can't do it.
So you think a person such as me, maybe I could do a series of YouTube shows or whatever you call them, YouTube presentations that might talk about each one of those shots I did of the farm project.
Absolutely. What you have to be willing to do, Kent, is to do them for 2 years and one a week for 2 years.
Oh.
Because it doesn't
But
happen
they could be
overnight.
on, but they could be on many topics. It
It could
doesn't
be on
have to be.
anything. Nothing happens overnight. And we
Yeah.
have this sort of, well, we've been conditioned. I've been conditioned for many decades. When you sit down and watch a TV show, you see the bad guy do something bad at the beginning, and in 47 minutes plus commercials, they've got him done. They've taken him down, right?
Yeah.
In an hour and 39 minutes, this guy goes from being poor to being rich. An hour and 39, and we go, oh. Peter McKinnon took him a year to get to the point where he had, I think, 500,000 viewers, and then boom, he just blew up. Somebody saw him and someone talked about him and he just blew up. Gary
And
Vaynerchuk.
you do that with a camera such as I have here. And how do you record that? How do you record it?
I can't get into specifics. Are you on a Mac?
Yes.
Oh, you just use iMovie.
Oh, okay.
Just open up iMovie and drag your 20 shots or your 10 shots into iMovie, spread them out till it's 59 seconds long, put some music underneath it, you're done.
59 seconds?
For a short, for a what's called a YouTube short, it's 59 seconds. For Instagram Reel is 59 seconds. If you do if you go to 61 seconds, they won't take it. But if you want to do just a video for YouTube, then yeah, it can be it can be whatever you want. But if you want the Instagram Reel, and by the way, if you're going to be on Instagram, do Reels.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you got to educate yourself on that.
Yeah.
Got to go over to Instagram. If you're on Instagram, do Reels. If you're putting still photographs only up on Instagram, you're wasting your time. It's just not that app anymore.
Okay, you say
So-
do reels?
Reels, yes.
Reels. REEL or REAL?
REEL, like a reel, like a movie
Okay.
reel. All right. Any other questions? Any other?
Yeah, yeah. A year or two ago, maybe more, did you do a presentation that gave details of how to set up your portfolio postcards?
If I did, it's on my YouTube. I think I did. It's on YouTube.
I think you did, because I think that's where I got all my information.
Yeah, it's probably it's on YouTube. You just have to go to my channel on YouTube and search for it.
Okay.
Wasn't there
Okay.
one, Dawn, that was supposed to happen and in the end it didn't? You remember you were doing that during the holidays, I think, and that first day something happened. You were doing like 5 short
Oh,
webinars, I
I
think.
did one a couple of years earlier, Karen.
Oh, okay. All right.
Couple of years.
Your YouTube channel, right? Is what you said, your YouTube channel?
Yes.
So you mean I could actually start a series that talks about things that I went through the night I was nearly shot at the Iron Curtain, and
Yeah.
then
Anything.
2 days later I had my revenge at Checkpoint Charlie and all that wild stuff?
Anything. Absolutely.
Oh.
Anybody else have
You're
a
opening-
question?
Those are the kinds of stories that'll lure people in
Sure.
to what you want to show them.
You're opening my eyes.
Absolutely.
Oh.
All right. Well, if there's not any other questions, I'll let everybody go. And thank you so much for coming. And the link to the sign up is on the page there. If you sign up, that'd be great. We're going to have I have a workbook coming for this one, and all of the people who took it previously, Trish, Kent, took it previously. If you go back to your page in February, the 1st of February, you'll find the workbook there.
Okay.
So I'll be able to nail that. So, all right, everyone, have a great one. Thanks for coming out. I'm gonna have to
you.
close the door now. It's all the way down to 68. So just
Yeah,
it's just freaking brutal. It's just brutal.
yeah, yeah.
Good night.
Night.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.